Hello everyone, welcome to Byju's IAS. In this lecture, we are going to begin a very important subject for your UPSC examinations. Yes, you are right. We are going to start modern history. So basically in this chapter, I'm going to tell you how important this subject is going to be for your exam. Apart from that, I'll also be showing you the previous year's number of questions that have come, what is written in the syllabus. I'll give you some idea about the book lists. If you want to, there are lots of questions people keep on asking which book should we refer, which book we should study. So I'll tell you about that also. And finally, in this chapter, I shall also tell you what will be the way we are going to proceed in this particular lectures. That is, what all will come. Basically, synopsis of the whole lecture will be told to you in this particular class. So without wasting the time, let's begin this. Now, if you see the significance of this, see, please understand, in all the three portions, that is pre, mains, and even your personality test, in all these portions, definitely you are going to get history. Now, I'll tell you, if I write it here only, that in all the three areas you will get modern history, I'll not be wrong. You will see that questions from modern history come in prelims. Questions from modern history, they can come in your mains. And even in personality tests, you can have questions. So, for example, let's say you are going for your personality test, and whatever be your optional might be sociology or geography, public administration. And let's say one of the five people who are there to interview you, they ask you a very simple question that Mr. XYZ, whatever your name is, in your opinion, do you think safety valve is a myth or it is not? Now, what is safety valve? We can only answer, or whether it is a myth or not, we can only answer if we know about it. Similarly, they may ask you that in your opinion, 1857 revolt, was it the first war of Indian independence or was it not? That could be the question. So we can have any type of questions in our interview also. And as I said, it does not really matter what's your background, what's your optional. They can ask some very generic questions which come from general studies, which they expect you would have studied earlier. So that can come. Similarly, if you have the knowledge of history in essay and the questions on society, definitely it's going to be helpful. Now, how is this going to happen? Now, if I give the very lame definition of history right now, I can say one thing, that whatever I taught you 5 minutes back or told you 5 minutes back, now that's a part of our history. So basically, everything is history. What you study in other areas, other subjects also, they are also history. So, for example, if the polity teacher is talking about the Keshwanand Bharti case, or he is talking about the constitution, basically the building of the constitution or the case happened in the realm of history. Similarly, if the geography teacher is talking about the Green Revolution, that is history. Similarly, if I talk about economics teacher teaching you 1991 LPG reforms, again history. IR teacher teaching you anything about Nehruvian foreign policy, again history. Internal security teacher telling you about the Khalistan issue, again history. Science and tech teacher talking to you about the development of space, how did all happen there? What does he write? History of space development. So please understand, history is there everywhere. And I can keep on naming all these subjects, whichever you study. Of course, I'll not talk about CSAT here. Now, please understand. Again, clearly I can show you that if you have knowledge about the history, there is a topic in your essay paper. Invariably, you can write a better introduction, because what happens? Whenever we are writing any essay, we start from, let's say, ancient times. For example, a very simple question I'm giving you, role of women or condition of women or any essay on women. Invariably, while you are writing on them, you would like to start your essay from the very ancient times. What were the status of women in the earlier stages? What was the status of theirs in the medieval stages? And in, of course, the modern era. Similarly, Let's say any other topic. Can India win 100 gold medals in Olympics? Essay topic. Now, invariably, you will have to talk about the background, the past, what India has done, what India has not done. So many times essays keep on coming on Gandhiji, Gandhiji's ideology. How do we write good essays on the based on our knowledge of history and particularly modern? Similarly, if I talk about the questions on society, now in history you would have studied, and specifically I'm talking about the modern history here, socio religious reform movement. Invariably, the knowledge of this area, where you would have studied about, let's say, things like caste system or untouchability, all these, whatever you have learned here, definitely will be helping you at this point of time also. So these are the things that we have to understand if we are talking about the significance of history. Very, very significant. In fact, let me tell you one thing, and I'll show you in the coming slides, that if somebody hopes or thinks that they can clear this exam without being very, very proficient in history, or thinking that they will easily leave this area, it's going to be very, very tough. Invariably, you will have to study this portion, and trust me, from our side, we will make this as interesting as possible for you, and hopefully very, very easy for you. Now, at the very beginning, I know some of you would be like, Sir, I don't remember dates, I cannot remember the certain names. Trust me, while going through the classes, we'll keep on telling you what is important, what is not important. Go through them, listen to the things quickly, clearly, make small, small notes. Done. Nothing more than that would be required. Of course, you will also have the PPTs available with you. So, invariably, you would have the base on which you will be writing anything. Moving ahead. Now, at the very beginning, from the viewpoint of UPSC, if we look at the entire history, it is divided into these six portions. As you can see, ancient India, medieval India, modern history, that is the modern portion of our country, post independent India, art and culture, and world history. Now, here we are going to focus on this specifically, but I'll be showing you all these, and I'll show you the relative importance of all of these in some time. Now, I can, very proudly say I'm very, very happy with the fact that if you all see this particular slide, so beautifully they have designed it. Ancient is being represented by the artifacts of those era, medieval being represented by the architecture of that particular era. Modern, you all can see Gandhiji needs no introduction. Post independent India, a parliament building, art and culture, the temple architecture, and of course, world history being depicted by a map. Beautiful slide diagrams, I would say, slide designs have been made here. Let's move ahead. I'll come back to this slide again. Now, look at the prelim syllabus. If you look at the prelim syllabus, why I'm telling you? Because a lot of times people say that UPSC can ask anything. But let me clarify here that UPSC does not ask anything. UPSC knows what it is asking. If you look here, what is written? History of India and Indian national movement. Now, if you all see, I'm getting two hints here. Number one, because they have mentioned India and they have mentioned Indian, clearly I have understood that UPSC in its prelims will not ask world history. So, my first indication is very, very clearly that world history is not going to come in our exam, specifically the prelims. So, if I go back one slide again, and if I draw a very simple, I would say, table here, and I'm writing prelims, mains, clearly world history will not come in prelims. Let me draw a line here. World history is not going to come in prelims. That is very, very clear. And the next line was history of India and Indian national movement. So now, definitely ancient, medieval, modern, post-independent, art and culture, they all can come in your prelims. Now, let me go back to that slide again. See here. First hint is world history is not going to come in prelims. The second hint that I get is, now please, all of you can see it here. UPSC could have written very simply only history of India, and yet we would have studied the entire history. But here what is happening? Apart from writing history of India, UPSC is writing and Indian national movement. That means UPSC's focus is going towards the freedom struggle. Clearly, by its own syllabus, the way it has written this particular syllabus, UPSC is telling us that please focus on modern. In prelims, if you look at the whole line, yeah, they can ask the questions on ancient, they can ask the questions of medieval, art and culture. Even post independent can come. But then, by adding these three words, they have given us the second clue that focus should be on modern. And this I will show you. Almost every year, if you look at the previous year question papers, on an average, half of the question paper is from modern. That is, if 20 questions are there from history section, 10 would be from modern. Half usually is from this particular section. Now, one thing I'll tell you here only, at times it becomes very tough to say that the question belongs to whom. For example, there was a question in 2020 prelims, question on Gandhism and Marxism. Many people may have kept that in polity. Similarly, if you look at other times, let's say there is a question on Green Revolution. Some people may say that this is geography, others may say it's economy. So such things keep on happening. So don't be worried about the number of questions or exact this thing, but on an average, as a thumb rule, you can say that, see, 50%, half of the questions of your history segment is coming from modern. Now, let us move ahead. If you see the PYQ trends, now let me assure you one thing. When you will enter into the lectures, I have dealt the question papers of 2000s also, 2011, 12, 13, everything is there. But here, for just for analysis purpose, we have taken the last 6 years. See, two things I'll tell you here. Number one, the syllabus changed in 2011. So please practice the PYQ from 2011 onwards. Please don't leave that. And that's why for you people, we have dealt all the PYQ of prelims separately, subject wise. So please go through that. Number two, if you look at this, numbers clearly reflect the lowest has been 14 and the highest has been 21. So almost, if I say 15 to 20% questions, they come from history. And most of the times, if you will see this pattern, around half of them would be from modern. See here, let me tell you one thing. Importance wise, after modern, it's always art and culture. After art and culture, it is ancient, then medieval, and finally post independence. See, post independence, usually, if the questions will come, automatically what happens is it falls in the lap of any other subject. As I told you, Green Revolution. Mostly it will either go in geography or in economics. See, what has happened is, or any question related to IR, it goes to, the subject of IR. Because for our convenience to teach everything in the best possible manner, what has happened is that post independence, usually the questions we put it in other subjects only. And that's why you will see that zero questions we will be dealing mostly. All the questions that may have come in the lap of post independence, what we do is we put it in other subjects. Because post independence, usually under the history section, is taught also very, very less. Because, as I told you, everything falls in the lap of other subjects. So this is the importance. Now, this is the importance prelims wise. Always remember this. Let me tell you just this year's breakup: 10 from modern, 5 from art and culture, 3 ancient, 2 medieval, 0 post independence. So you can see 50%, 25%, you can calculate 15% and 10%. And most of the times, this is the pattern that is followed here. Let's move ahead. Let's look at the mains syllabus. Now, if we look at the mains syllabus, UPSC has given the whole main syllabus in only 5 lines as far as history is concerned. And all of them are in the first paper. If you look here, first area is Indian culture. Now, second area is modern, which has got the freedom struggle mentioned here. So these 2 lines have been dedicated to modern. If you look at the fourth line, post independence consolidation and reorganization within the country, this is your nothing but post independent India. And the fifth line is clearly history belonging to the world. So now, what did you see? These 5 lines One is for culture, one is for world history, one is for post independence, and two lines are for modern. So let me go back to three slides and show you something. Here, means modern comes, post independent comes, art and culture comes, world history comes. There is no mention of ancient and medieval India. Clearly, these two segments don't come in our mains. Ancient and medieval will not be asked. Now, I know many people they get confused here. Please understand. We study ancient and medieval. And definitely, what happens is if you look at this area, art and culture, it basically overlaps in this area. Let me go and show you the syllabus again of the mains. See here. Indian culture will cover the salient aspects of art forms, literature, architecture from ancient to modern times. So, right from ancient to modern, any form of art and culture, questions can come. So, for example, let me tell you if there is a question on Jahangir, question will be coming from his, let's say, era painting. If let's say there is a question on Shah Jahan, question can come from his era of architecture. Such questions can come. But then please be very, very clear in this. Usually 99% times UPSC is not going to ask you about the social aspects of life during the Mughal era. They will rather ask anything related to painting or architecture of that particular era. Similarly, if let's say there is a question on Harappa Valley civilization, so question may come on its town planning, which we study under art and architecture. But then they would not be asking you about the economic conditions of those days, the society, how it was there, how it was functioning. Those things will not be asked. So please remember, if we are studying the ancient and medieval, under art and culture, these areas will be covered. Art, literature, architecture, as I said, painting, let's say dance, music, etc. So now I hope you all are clear with this particular thing, that how much importance has to be given to this area. Now I'll separately talk about this. Modern, as you see, middle of the 18th century, they have made it very, very clear that somewhere around this period we start with modern. But for our convenience, you will see we will add two chapters before this period also, so as to understand and have continuity. What are those chapters? One chapter would be the arrival of Europeans. They would have come way before this. You will see this in chapters. But we will be doing it here because many times when I'm teaching you this subject, I'll be talking about the English, the French, the Portuguese, Danes, Dutch. So you should have an idea about where did they come from. So we will be starting with arrival of Europeans, and here only we shall also have a chapter of decline of Mughals. This process started before this period and it continued during this time. So we'll also be looking around this. Apart from that, because you can see there is no, such line that is dividing everything. So you will see overall, this portion we would be beginning in our classes from somewhere, I would say, when Aurangzeb died, and of course this chapter. Where do you go? You can see until the present. Now this is a big word. Moment present is written, you can come till this point. That is the case. So we will be looking into that. Of course, we have the significant events, we have personalities, we have issues. For example, significant events, Jallianwala Bagh massacre. No one can forget this. Similarly, personalities, there might be questions on people who are unheard of, and sometimes there might be people on whom you know a lot. For example, the question can be Lala Lajpat Rai. Of course, issues like socio-religious issues, they can be questioned, let's say, on Sati. Of course, then we have the freedom struggle, various stages. We will study this, the moderate stage, the extremist stage, and of course, the Gandhian stage. Important contributors, contributions from different parts of the country. So, let me name one great man, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan from Northwest Frontier Province, involved in Khudai Khidmatgar, Red Shirt movement. Such a great man. We will study about him. We'll look into their contributions. What all have they contributed at this point of time? All this will be studied under this particular syllabus of modern. Though I'll come to modern again. Give me some time. Let's look at the post-independence. See, clearly, only two words. Post-independence will be seeing consolidation and reorganization in our country. So under consolidation, all the areas which were under the British, Portuguese, French, and the princely states, how all these areas were brought together. The modern shape that you see of our country, how did we achieve that? So, for example, the British, under them, there were many areas. So, we will look at that, like Bihar, Portuguese, Goa, French, Pondicherry, and of course, the princely states like Hyderabad, Kashmir, how all of them were merged with India. We'll look into that. And of course, topic number two, reorganization. Today, you have 28 states and 8 union territories. Were they like this always? No. Just last year, you had Daman and Diu and Dadar Nagar Haveli as separate entities. Before that, Jammu and Kashmir was a state, later divided into 2 union territories. Earlier, Andhra got divided and Telangana emerged from that particular state. Before that, Jharkhand, Uttarakhand, and Chhattisgarh, the new states got created. Before that, if we talk about the 50s, we'll see the Fazal Ali Commission, Dhar Committee, JVP Committee, all that, how this reorganization happened in our country. We shall be studying that. Finally, history of the world. And again, from 18th century only. That is, don't go before this era. The questions will never ever come from this particular time. Before this, nothing is going to be asked. Yeah, but after that, absolutely. Industrial revolution. In fact, there are 4 revolutions. One is industrial, Russian, French, and American Revolution. Of course, we will see the 2 world wars. We shall see how the redrawal of national boundaries happened. For example, the integration of Germany, Italy, we shall be studying. Of course, colonization, decolonization, many countries, India itself, we were colonized. Of course, in world history, we'll not talk about India, but South America, Africa, so many countries were colonized, and how they all got decolonized will have to be studied. Finally, political philosophies like communism, capitalism, socialism, their effects, their forms, all these will be taught to you in your world history. So I hope this is clear. Let's move ahead and see the trend in mains. Now, if you see here, why I have taken 2013? Because the new syllabus came in this year. The syllabus that we people are studying today, that came in this particular year. So we have taken basically the last 9 years. Now let me do one thing for you. Let's draw one table here, and let's draw one table here. If you see here, total. See, let's start with post-independence. Post-independence, 45, 15, 10, 70 is the total. Now, you all can understand that because so many zeros, it clearly is showing that this is the least important area here. Though I'll tell you this about this in a minute. Let's calculate the others also. If you see here, 65, 85, then you have 85.5, 92.5, 122.5, 187.5, 227.5, 277, 302, 362.5, 17, 95, 107.5, 117, 147, 162.5, 60, 110, 120, 155, 165, 225. What's the total of this? 362, 432, 434, 494, 594, 794, 819, 820. And if we separately join them this side, you can see this comes to be 140, 100, 70, 75, 85. You can see 105, 75, 75, 50, 60, 75. Let's do it this way also. 240, 310, 310, 380, 460, 470, 570, 630, 640, 790. So if you can see here, overall, 800 marks questions have come in 9 years. So if I say it like this, almost 90 marks per year. Now, If you look at post-independence, let's start with that. As I told you, least important, only 70 marks. Then the least important is, of course, world history. You can see 1-0, one question, one question, one question, one question, one question, two question, maybe four questions. Then, of course, art and culture. But then art and culture, one thing if you see, 2 years, that is, in this year, you can see here, modern was less than art and culture. And of course, this year, art and culture was more than modern. Out of 9, 2 years, art and culture was more than modern also. So if again, overall you see clearly modern, then art and culture, of course, then world, and finally your PI is here. That's the equation. And on an average, you can see 70 to 100. See, except this year, which is an aberration, you can see 100, 70, 75, 85, 105, 75, 75, 75. So usually it's around minimum that has gone is 70. And I'm taking this as an aberration. See, this was the year when the syllabus had just changed. And you can see here, aberration is because post-independence that year, there was 45 number questions. Had this been, let's say, 10, 15, suddenly what would have happened? This would have come to this normal range. This year was very, very exceptional. So if you forget this year, you can look at the other years. Clearly what is visible is that 3-4 questions are coming from one section here. That 3-4 is coming from mostly freedom movement. See here, 43 questions had come. Maybe 2, 4, 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, 2, 3 and 3.5. See this here, why 5 marks are divided here? Because there was one question on contributions of Abul Kalam Azad pre and post independent India. That is the reason this had happened here. So I hope now it's very clear which all areas are important, which are less important as far as our exam is concerned. Let us move ahead and let's look at modern. As I told you, both pre as well as mains expect questions from this area. British arrival till independence of India. And I told you here, basically, rather than British, we take arrival of Europeans. And from there till the independence of India, we shall be studying. That would be the entire syllabus. Special focus? Absolutely. The freedom struggle. UPSC has said Indian national movement. So definitely events after this. A lot of questions in the last few years are coming from social religious reform movements. Continuously, 2020, for example, 2 pre-questions came. There was one Rakhmabai case, then Vittal Vidvanchak. Similarly, 2021, one question came in prelims on Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. One question came in mains on Rajaram Mohan Roy and D. Rose Yu. Continuously, this is off late. A lot of questions we can see here. Similarly, personality-centric questions are being asked. As I told you, Rakhmabai case. Similarly, there was question on Lalaji. Certainly, for prelims, we will have to remember certain facts. There is no way that we can forget them. Absolutely, we'll have to study. So, what could be the sources of these? See here, let me tell you one thing very, very carefully. Market is full of books related to modern history. See here, I've named only 3. I can beyond them, there are 2 NCRTs. There are basically 2 Bipin Chandras. Of course, there is a new book by TMH. You have the book of Sumit Sarkar, definitely Shekhar Bandyopadhyay. Now, please understand, there are so many books, but we cannot study each and every book. And this is not your work. Let me be very, very clear here. You don't have to study every book. This is the work of the teacher. Let me study all these books. Let me tell you everything that is important from these books to you. Your work is not to get into them. You should concentrate on one. Which book you will concentrate? Of course, you will start with Bipin Chandra that has been provided to you by BYJU'S. Yeah, I know some of you will say that, sir, certain chapters they are missing here. I know, for that we are here. See, once you are done with the book, after listening to me, you will go and do the PPTs that are provided to you. From in the PPT, you will see I have taken content from all these books at different places. And after that, you can always, ask us that, sir, I have completed the Bipin Chandra. Now what? See, I have always believed in one simple theory. Read one book many a times rather than reading different books one time or not even once, because that way we are never sure about any book. That is the worst thing that anyone can do. Don't do that. Absolutely don't do that. Just read one. Of course, I know some of you will say, sir, why not Spectrum? See, my only problem with Spectrum is at times the knowledge that has been given is too much. Some unnecessary data and information has been given. So we will always have to be very careful in eliminating those non-important chapters. That's point number one. And point number two, as you all understand, these books, they continuously keep on getting revised. Now, in history, there is nothing new that is happening. Only some content would have been added, some new chapters would have been added. Talk to anyone who would have been studying in 2014. Then Spectrum had the content from 1857. Now Spectrum has got the content from arrival of Europeans. At times, that extra information, as a student, people don't know how much they should take in and how much they should leave. That is the one thing that you will have to understand, that we should definitely leave. That is one thing that we should definitely be not doing. So if you are sure about the fact that, okay, no, I want to go ahead with Spectrum only, okay, go ahead. Otherwise, I will say, start with Vipin Chandra. Complete it. I'll tell you other books. I'll definitely be helping you out over there. You can always contact us through the mentors. There is no doubt about that. Apart from that, you can always write mails to us and here I'm providing you my mail ID, kumar.rohit@byju's.com. You can always reach out to us whenever you have queries. Either I will reply to that, or the mentor team will definitely look into them and answer all your queries. So basically, this was the first part of the chapter where I have given you enough idea about this whole syllabus. Now here only, I'll give 5 more minutes to this and tell you slightly about the answer writing also. If you see here, any question that comes to you people, this is the simple part that you have to understand, that in any answer, basically we do 5 things. See, let's say there is a question to you, any question. The first thing that I always try to look into the question is, what is the keyword? Now, sometimes the keyword is examine, sometimes elucidate, sometimes analyze, maybe at times discuss, critically analyze. See, we have already done one answer writing module here on this particular keywords, that what is the exact requirement of every keyword. See, critically analyze the role of Gandhiji in the freedom movement. Same question, discuss the role of Gandhiji in the freedom movement. The question's meaning has changed because of the first word being replaced. So always look at the keyword. And as I said, please go through the answer writing module, which is there on the student portal, to understand it. So that's your first part. Number 2, theme of the question. I just now told you, discuss the role of Gandhiji in the freedom movement. So definitely the theme is what? Role of Gandhiji. So the moment you understood these two, that is the keyword and the theme, then comes the part 3rd of this, where basically the introduction part has to be done. So Gandhiji's role in the freedom movement, we will start with let's say, depending on the number of words, of course, 150 or 250 words. So 150, definitely a small introduction. 250 definitely will be having a bigger introduction. So moment we see this thing, that how many words are asked, if it's a 150 word, 1-line introduction, father of the nation, Mr. Gandhi, whatever you have to write, you start with the introduction. And very soon you come to the theme, that is body. If it's a 250 word question, definitely you can write 2 lines. Write 2 lines over there. And then you come to the theme of the question, body. Now what is the body? Demand of the question has to be written here. Now I know different people, different style. Some of you go for paragraph style. Some of you will go to the point style. I have seen so many of people who use flow charts in their answers. Many people, they even draw those mind maps. For example, let's say subsidiary alliance. Now somebody has to write a small note on subsidiary alliance, started with the fact that these were the people who introduced subsidiary alliance, this, and then they came on the principles of subsidiary alliance, that there will be a British resident in the state, army will be in the state, and payment will come from the state. Of course, if you don't pay, your land will be taken away. No independent foreign policy. All this. So I'm not teaching you right now, you'll study this later. But what I'm trying to say is this way the subsidiary alliance might be asked. Of course, never leave any question. The last stage is always, please always write the conclusion in your answer. Otherwise, your answer looks very, very, I would say, incomplete at this point of time. If the answer is not written, it becomes very incomplete. So please write the answer. And lastly, of course, I'm giving you a question here. Throw light on the significance of the thoughts of Mahatma Gandhi in the present times. 2018 question. Gandhiji says, hate the sin, not the sinner. Gandhiji says, truth and non-violence. Make God a witness of your deeds. Now, where can we include all these thoughts of Gandhiji in the present times? That is being asked. So, my advice to you people will be, see, the moment you start your preparations, within a month of that, at least one answer per day. So that in 300, 360 days, the amount of answers that you would have written would be substantial. See, there will be problems in the beginning, some hesitation will be there, but please try to remove those problems, remove those hesitations, and write your answers continuously. Keep on writing. And this is our first part of the modern history where I've given you the idea of how to tackle the history subject. I have not talked about the others in great details. That will be done by the respective faculties for their own subjects. But specifically for modern history, I have given you enough idea. I've given you the books, of course, the method of writing the answers. I've told you all the things are there in the tablet. You have the previous year questions, both prelims, both mains, everything is there. So for this lecture, this much. In the next lecture, I'm going to come to you with the discussion or synopsis of how we are going to study all these things in the coming lectures. That is the thing that we are going to study. So, thank you. Goodbye.